Well, hello, and welcome to Stop Let's Team Up. This is Ross Aiken, your host, and with me is Kirby Evans, and we're going to be talking about a DC Comics present. Say hi, Kirby.
Hi, Ross. Thank you for bringing me on as I check another character of my top five off the list to talk about.
Well, yeah, he gave folks, we're doing DC Comics presents 80, what is it, 85?
85, yep.
85, which is the Superman teams up with Swamp Thing, written by Alan Moore and drawn by Rick Veitch. When they were they still doing the book? They were
Oh,
doing.
this is right in this is so pretty early on in their run. Just according to Mike's Amazing World, real quick, this is after the vampire episode issue and right before the werewolf issue. So
Okay.
yeah, they still got more so as like another like 2, 3 years on Swamp Thing, and that's not even counting when Veitch takes over as the writer and penciler.
Yeah. That's what I thought. I don't own any of the Swamp Thing. I mean, I've read the Moore run,
Yep.
but I'm not I haven't just it's been so long and I read it and I only read it like maybe twice. I mean, I did reread it for shits and giggles at one point when I had the single when I had the floppies for him. And I liked it, but it's like, and we'll get to that in a bit, about how it's like the perfect Alan Moore Superman story.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
just for reference, the Alan Moore Swamp Thing was one of kind of my early story. Like I was able to get the trades pretty easily and quickly when I was in like senior year of high school. So like
Yeah.
it's one of my big favorite runs, and yeah, I won't go into my complaint of the DC Absolute they reprint they did of that, but hey, DC, give me a full omnibus of Moore's run, which this can easily get slotted into, and just give me that omnibus with the original coloring. That's all I'm
Yeah.
asking.
No shit. I've only seen it through um, Kirby shit posting about it on Blue Sky. It might have still been, you might have been on X because
I
you
don't
did
remember.
you did, you just threw a couple of shots and comparisons. We're just talking about how shit it was, and I had seen and then I realized that not near mint condition talked about it, and Omar was as polite as he could be.
No, I'll say like okay, part of the comic book process is penciling and inking and knowing the coloring you're going to be using. And if you try and change any of that, it fucking sucks.
Yeah, the only time I found it when they've recolored something drastically is when Neil Adams did the recoloring of his Dead Man.
Sure.
And he did it himself. And I think he did the coloring before. He may have been his own colors then. I don't know.
I don't
But
remember off the top of my head.
it looked fine. It just looked it looked like it had work done. You could tell, but it wasn't as bad as when you take something that is designed for the four color process. Especially that this is at that time where they thought yellow was super important for some reason. There's a lot of yellow. The yellow's kind of off. And you see the course correction, then like Crisis 6 going into and 6 when about the time Ordway becomes the inker, when they're done with the DiCarlo, and the coloring gets a little more restrained. But the recoloring, it's terrible. I would like a big, if they did it, a compendium would be great. I'll take that.
Yeah, a
I
companion, just something.
just want to read it.
Yeah. And
And I haven't read, and it was not more so good with the voice of this book. So
oh,
and so it works so well. Let's Kirby, you got Mike's up. So when was this?
okay, so DC Comics presents number 85, The Jungle Line. Has a cover date of September 1985, an on sale date of June 6th, 1985. Writer Alan Moore, penciler Rick Veitch, inker Al Williamson, letterer John Costanza, colorist Tatiana Wood, and editor Julie Schwartz. Let's see, this book has been reprinted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times.
Jesus, it's in all these Alan Moore Swamp Thing trades.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not in any of the actual like individual Swamp Thing collections. It's all either in greatest team ups of all time, DC Universe Stories of Alan Moore, The Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow trade paperbacks, which is where I first read this, like in 09, 10. DC Universe by Alan Moore, and then just once in the Absolute Swamp Thing by Alan Moore. So,
Um, so is the Absolute got all of his in it?
it's like they broke it up over 3 volumes, which would be
Oh,
about
I got you.
right, but yeah.
I don't have, I only have the one Ken's given me. So I had a few years ago and I sold them, but I like an Absolute. But Ken also got the gallery edition Ronin.
Ooh, okay.
Dude, it's gigantic. It's the size of the press paper.
Oh, but
It basically you're looking at a photograph of all the original pages
okay.
with you can see where there's tape over it and everything. Yeah, it's neat. And it's every page. So, and since it was black and white for the most part, it looks beautiful. And it's really I think it's the best thing that Frank Miller ever did. I would love for them to reprint it. I haven't had a copy in years, but I see why this one, go back to DC Comics, it's 85. I see why it's reprinted, because I love DC Comics Presents, but not every issue is as good as the last.
No.
Or, you know what I mean? There are some ones where, ooh, had you ever read that comic before you teamed Superman up with that? Because I don't think you understand that character.
Oh,
I
there's a
do.
couple of those.
Oh yeah, there are a couple of them, like, whatever. And then just random bad art. And I don't think it's terrible. I think Brave and Bold, its sister team up book had, you know,
It had Jim
they
Aparo at the very
Team
least.
Aparo and right around, well, I got the team up DC Comics Presents. Every once in a while it would be a fill-in pencil. And it was like the red tornado was by, and maybe Perro didn't want to draw Red Tornado because one of them was drawn by Doug Dixon, and the next one was drawn by, um, oh my God, uh, I'm brain farting, Don Newton. Don
Okay.
Newton draws a really good Red Tornado, but yeah, but it's because sometimes they're not as good. Like this, the other Starman Swamp Thing is drawn by Murphy Anderson. And it's like kind of like what if the Swamp Thing was around in the Silver Age?
Yeah, because they're fighting Solomon Grundy
And
in
they in the
that,
yeah,
and
and
yeah.
it's a very traditional look to it. It is really off-putting a little bit. I almost picked that one just so we could comment about, you know, what would the Swamp Thing look like in 1965? It would look
Yep.
like a lot like that. Um, but this one is, it is by the Swamp Thing, right?
Yeah.
I think he would be number one in everybody's.
Yeah, I would honestly put it's more at the top. Then it goes Len Wein, and then God from I think Nancy Collins is probably number 3. Scott Snyder's isn't bad. Skip the Mark Miller stuff. God, there's an
That was
absolutely pot.
Lemire's.
I don't think he ever actually wrote Swamp Thing proper. Might have done a crossover with his Animal Man,
Okay.
but one
I
thing,
thought he had done a short run or something. Maybe.
no, I don't think so. But absolutely, positively avoid the Brian K. Vaughan Swamp Thing run. It's not good Swamp Thing, and it's not good Brian K. Vaughan, so don't even bother reading it.
Oh my God. What did he? Okay. We'll talk off mic about how bad that is.
Yeah,
But hey, does Mike have a synopsis?
it doesn't.
Uh,
So I can do probably one off the top of my head if you
yeah,
want.
yeah. If you want to go, I mean,
Okay, Superman is feeling the ill effects of a meteorite from with an alien fungus that is growing and slowly infecting him. As it's killing him, he is driving south so he can die alone. Eventually, he crashes into a tree where he is then encountered by Alec Holland, the Swamp Thing, who is able to connect with both Superman and the alien fungus to try and help save the Man of Steel. Eventually, he's able to cure Superman, who is able to get back into full 100% shape as he flies off into the sunset, and as Swamp Thing walks back slowly into the murky depths of his home.
Very good. I was going through and you were like spot on. I can't do that anymore. My brain's not hot wired that way. Um, but that's, it that is a very simple story. I mean, you and Kirby hit every point. It's a very simple story, but it's Alan Moore, so it's a little more layered. But let's start with the cover. It's a Rick Veitch cover. It's still in the era where you actually the cover may represent something that's actually happening in the book,
Yep.
but it's Superman floating. His eyes, you know, are just white dots, and he's kind of destroying the Swamp Thing. I think it's a great cover,
It really is.
and yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
like Swamp Thing or Superman looks really good, which with Reach, it was one of those like I know he's gonna nail Swamp Thing. I don't know how well he's gonna nail Superman from memory. And it's like, oh no, he gets 100%.
Yeah, and he actually does, what I've talked about on the podcast, like when Kirby went to DC, Marvel said, "Yeah, we're gonna have someone else do the face.
Yeah.
We're just gonna keep him the way you want him, but we want the house style face on him." And it's never consistent, but it is what it is. But Veitch is drawing this like he is. It's a weird hybrid of the superhero four color comic and what him and Moore are doing, which like it's a darker world.
Yes.
So this fits in both worlds, and a lot of that has to do with how Veitch draws Starman in a more tradition to look like you can see the inference to Kurt Swan. You can see the
Hmm.
inference. Here I'm trying. It's a little like Kurt. I'm going to get as close to Kurt as I can, or I'm getting as closest to Murphy Anderson as I can. But there's that. He still looks like it's Rich Veitch, but he really does have that. It's very much the Silver Age because it's the blue suit. You know, he
Yeah.
doesn't do what Swan was doing at the time, making Clark kind of groovy.
Yeah, he's got the blue suit, the tie. It's like it looks like you could slot this into a DC Finest with a lot of Swanderson, and you wouldn't be immediately pulled out.
Yeah, I think the baseline. There's a maybe did it on purpose. I would,
I will.
Murphy did a lot of DC horror stuff. I'm looking forward to reading that Spectre DC Comics presents because I want to read that more than I want to read some of the other stuff. And I've got a volume of something where it's Murphy doing what is it? Oh, it's doing Hawkman. Very
Oh yeah, yeah,
different.
yeah.
Yeah, the curb bit to that curb Kubert to that in that trade is like, wow, that is night and fucking day. Um, but they both look beautiful. But this is a beautiful comic. I think it is Rick Veitch on the cover and in the interiors really finds that balance
He does.
between because not I didn't buy horror books. I just everybody was talking about Swamp Thing, and I had read the Bernie Wrightson one that, but I started reading it because of Moore, and I read it, into Veitch, and I think I dropped about when Veitch quit.
Okay, that yeah, because after there's someone after Veach and before Nancy Collins, I can't remember who's writing it, and it's just kind of it's not even bad, it's just forgettable.
Yeah, because it's just a patch to keep it until you get a real right. Because he left,
Yeah,
he hadn't finished the story. He didn't finish the story, right? He just that was
right.
done.
That yeah, DC would not let him publish the last story, which apparently they might be republishing in
No, it's already been
2023.
scheduled. Yeah,
Oh, it has. Okay,
it's an oversized hardcover.
okay. My
I think they're doing it under the black label.
yeah, that makes that totally tracks.
So maybe Vertigo. Who knows?
Yeah.
Because Vertigo's starting back up with all new stuff. So, um, but
One thing that I think really helps this trade is that the first half of it really does feel of a piece of like Bronze Silver Age Superman, where it's Clark and Lana going to this science covering this science exhibit or whatever, and that's where Clark gets infected. And they say it's like, yeah, okay, Superman's been around for 20 years, but he's not going to let us do all these experiments on where that's why we're so fascinated by this piece of alien fungus because we can actually do experiments on it. And he
yeah,
learns it's quickly it what it's native to the Scarlet Jar. jungle, the moral is an unusual and dangerous fungus. Its preferred growth medium is blood. And he gets infected. And one of my favorite things is on page 6, where this is like the first time Clark's ever actually been sick. So after all of these decades of pretending to be sick to get out of it, in Change Time Superman, it's like, oh, I don't know how to actually be sick anymore. And he's falling from the sky, so he looks very mild mannered and meek as he takes the subway. And I just kind of really love it.
Yeah, I do too. And then he has the nightmare on 7. And the two suits are talking to him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great. And kind of throughout this early pieces, normally I'm not a big fan of like very purple prose, but more is kind of one of those exceptions to the rule here because it does just so much work throughout this entire book.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's really when I read this, it's because every writer who does Superman goes into one or two can, well, three can. So Superman is about you're doing the story about Clark Kent.
Mm-hmm.
He wears a suit. Oh, you're doing the story of Kal-El and how he adopts to the Earth. Or no, Superman is his real identity. Then that's my least favorite. I could do the other two, I don't mind, but that's my. But I think he's showing you that a little bit here, where he falls in on this, that it's, you know, he's a little bit of both.
100%. And I
Yeah,
think that's especially for Bronze Age, that's kind of where I prefer it, where it's like he is like you can't have Clark without Superman, you can't have Superman without Clark because he'd go crazy with one way or the other,
yeah.
especially
I,
in
I'm
this.
I'm I'm there with you, but I like it when they're together here, those heroes, like say the Trinity, they go by the first names. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he's always Clark. It's not Kal-El.
Yes.
But there's also this that he has a super memory. So now I remember this one page of an ancient text that I may or may not have ever fucking looked at. It's the here, this is the device where we can do some exposition. You could have just created a narrator and had done the exposition, but there's always this thing is he's memorized everything in the Kryptonian library that his father sent in a crystal on the way to Earth. Because yeah, that would have been added to here. So it's a little Deus ex machina, but it's still a Bronze Age comic, so it's okay.
Yeah.
I've been reading a lot of early and mid 70s Marvel and DC. There's a vast difference between the two, but um, they will build something very quickly in a story to be a plot device to get them out of the fucking mess they made, and they don't have one. It's the USS Voyager reset. They find it like with 15 minutes left in the episode, and it just is a reset. There's no cause and effect. There's no lasting effect on the ship. But it's like, what the fuck, man?
I
It drives me nuts. And old
it
TV. I'm watching a lot of old TV recently, and it's like, oh God, man, this we watched Father of the Bride, the second sequel one, where the mom and daughter get pregnant. And it was like I was going, this shit is giving me diabetes. And Leslie just lost it. It's like I forgot how vapid they are. But Bronze Age has a feel, and and this has a little Silver Age in it because Alan Moore, like a lot of British fans at his age, that's the Silver Age Superman is what they like. I
mm-hmm.
do not disagree with them.
No.
I say there's some. If anybody wants to get me the greatest gift, I'd love a copy of Action Comics 300 with Superman Under the Red Sun because I think it's the greatest Superman story ever written.
Yeah.
Um, and that's that perfect cusp because that's very silver age, but it's not that far off from the bronze starting. And Swan does that because it's really Kryptonite no more. Is that where Bronze Age Superman starts?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, Superman 233, which is one of my holy grails, is kind of where I say Bronze Age Superman starts and goes up until Byrne takes over. And are there some times where they definitely jump back into like more Silver Age craziness? Yeah, but it's a lot more consistent. It does make a solid, noticeable change and does have some like lasting consequences for like 15 years.
Yeah,
You have
yeah.
You have
Because I know
Lana
when they went
that
to the news, when they went to the newsroom where he was a TV journalist, it still had the same water cooler shit. It's all the same characters,
yep.
you know. But late and within 20 issues, Swan sold you can put him in any type of costume you want to design him. And I will say his fashion sense is a little better than like George Perez panel I posted last night from George Perez's first issue of the Fantastic Four. He put something in Johnny and the worst gossip was like, where the fuck was George Perez living? He thought that was what someone would wear.
Boy.
And he does it for decades. Decades. They dress that way. And in New Teen Titans, Dick will be walking around and go, dude, flare pants not been a thing for a long, long, long time. But there's the very Bronze and Silver Age feel of this story is so good. And how Superman is not he's never aware that Swamp Thing is helping him because he is
No,
so ill.
and that's kind of what I think helps this story so much is that it's is not really a traditional team up. There's no villain that they're they're not fighting the Floronic Man or anything. It's once Superman crashes in the Louisiana Bayou, we that's where we're introduced to Swamp Thing. And again, Veach does a great job of making on it's on page 11 has him going from looking terrifying to showing the kindness in him, and that's kind of one of the things I love about Swamp Thing is he is both is he is this monster, but at the end of the day, he does care about the plants and the trees and eventually the people, and
Yeah.
it's like I'm not going to do like a really monster Swamp Thing voice. I wonder why is he not dead? I wonder who he is, and eventually he makes contact, and we get some real. This is the one thing that does leap out is in Superman's like fever dreams is all of these alien skeletons. You would not see that in a Superman book at this time.
No, you wouldn't. And I think they keep it kind of separate,
Yep.
and when Swamp Thing tears off the jacket and realizes it's Superman, and
That's
Superman just kind of eyeball zaps him in his chest.
so good. And it's weird. Like I love that the Superman shield rip because it's like, yeah, we see it on the same page, but it just looks so good. I don't know why that is, but just the reveal because Swamp Thing knows who Superman is,
Oh
and
yeah,
I love it.
but if this was written today, the Superman would know
Who
Swamp.
Swamp Thing is, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, hey, Swamp Thing, what are you
Yeah.
doing? Been in the basement waiting for dark Justice League Dark missions. Me and a chit and the monkey.
Uh
You've got a plant, an elemental, and a monkey in the basement.
yeah.
Watchtower. But I like it. I mean, and I like how Superman. This is one point I did. Is he, what is Superman seeing? Because
I think he's seeing all these alien creatures and he's trying to like defend himself as he's accidentally burning the swamp. But luckily, like Swamp Thing knows that whatever is in that fungus is causing him to act irrationally. So that's why he's not trying to kill him
yeah,
as he might. So Swamp Thing is on in all earnestness trying to help cure Superman because he knows like this is the most powerful being on the planet and he's going insane.
yeah. And I like how it's very on page, I guess it mine it says 17, where she touches Superman and it says contact, and then it's very much a Superman or a standard DC science fiction kind of the art's a little I'm glad is it Al Williamson's inking this?
Yeah.
Yeah, that he has that he used to do the Star Wars newspaper strip. Chef guess it's really he's a great penciler, but I love him penciling science fiction stuff. And I think that was kind of his little corner. But I love this page 18 because I just do. I mean, that looks like a panel. The first panel looks like it's out of like Action 290 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also get to see when he turns around and right before he squishes Swamp Thing's hand, that you see how rough he looks.
Yeah, it is hag, and I don't need. I actually kind of like whenever Superman has like a little 5 o'clock shadow. Sometimes he never needs a full beard ongoing, but I do like it. It's that episode of Justice League where he's flung to the far future. Same thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's basically the plot there. Superman under a red sun. That is
yeah, yeah, yeah.
basically the same fucking plot. Uh,
And Veach and Williamson also do good to make Swamp Thing look mossy, and you can feel like what he you can
yeah, yeah,
tell
you
what he
do.
would
The
feel
line
like to
work.
your touch and smell
Yeah,
and all that.
yeah. That's big part of the Williamson's kind of inking style is
Mm-hmm.
that he really adds texture.
And
Um,
yep, like I love the Bernie Wrights and Swamp Thing as well, but you really feel like, oh, Swamp Thing looks like a walking mossy tree under Veach and Steve Bissette with John Totalben inking. And yeah, just I love the bit here where after Superman's crushed his hand, it's Swamp Thing's hand. It's like, I'm not like you. I'm not extinct. I'm alive. And you just slowly see his hand regrow before Swamp Thing just tells him, "You're dying." And again, it's not out of anger. It's not out. It's like I'm trying to help you, dude.
yeah, and he keeps taking you can. It's like you can't kill me.
Yeah.
Stop hitting me. It's just ridiculous. I like it. It's and Swamp Thing finally gets through to him. Um, and then Swamp Thing does he like have him he connects Superman to the green.
Yes, because like
Uh,
this is the green has like just been introduced in the ongoing Swamp Thing at this point. So like this is definitely a Swamp Thing with a power boost, for lack of a better word, and him
okay.
using the green to help heal him, which makes sense given how much like plants get energy from the sun, Superman gets energy from the sun. That to me makes 100% sense from like a narrative perspective.
Yeah. And it works perfectly because then you see, he walks away, Superman's better. He lays him down there in the sun, which is going to make it feel better. Um, and and he leaves, and then it's very much very again Silver Age Superman or Bronze Age because like Superman has all his powers back, and what does he flex his muscles and his street clothes just rip? So,
Yeah, but not as invulnerable kryptonite blanket uniform.
yeah, and
He
I
shaves
never,
himself with the mirror.
yeah, and then he flies off, and then you have this nice little exit for Swamp Thing.
Because like again, through the Purple Prose narrative, it's like survived when there was no hope of another morning as glorious as this one. Survived when there was no one there to help him. Upwind, there was a splash as a gator thrashes its tail, nosing out into the deep water. The vine draped shadows beckon. The ancient trees whisper. Their leaves are a burnished crimson in the first shafts of a dawn. And it's like, yeah, it's just both of the both Swamp Thing and Superman are really showcased extremely well because you see both of their strengths and weaknesses as characters. Where Swamp Thing's really powerful, so is Superman in very different ways, and they are both heroes, and it's a great way to showcase that aspect without them again fighting just some random supervillain. And it is kind of really poetic in all of the best ways. And I mean, there's a reason it's been reprinted so many freaking times.
Yeah, and it's a very good one and done comic, and Moore he's not breaking any it's very DC. It is all the formulaic points and Vish kind of going here. When we're focused on Swamp Thing, it'll look more like Swamp Thing. We're focused on Superman, it'll look like what I would do as a Superman artist. And I think they
Yep.
really nail it. I think Veach is very close to Kurt Swan's. I
Oh,
mean, that is a compliment.
yes.
Because I mean, to me, Swan's the greatest Superman artist of all time.
Yeah, no, again, Veach is somehow able to blend these two very different, series tones like effortlessly, and you kind of don't even realize it.
Yeah,
And
you don't. And maybe you could be someone who, I got DC Comics religiously, You know, I always got the team up book. So this one made like, you know, if I'd gone up to the counter of the comic shop I was in and go, hey, this is pretty good. So, hey, he's doing Swamp Thing and this kind of in it. You might want to check it out because this is what a team up book can do if a company is doing it well.
Mm-hmm.
You have the same people like Haney and Aparo. Just keep them. It's not broken.
Yep.
We do not need to fix it. With Superman, DC Comics present, the artist was Garcia Lopez did a lot, but he didn't do a big, large chunk of it straight through.
Yeah, and that's one of my big wishes is that Len Wein and JLGL were the equivalent to Haney and Aparo, but it's like if we got like say 83 issues of that, 84 issues of that, and then we got this one off, it's like, yeah, I'm fine with that change for a little bit.
Yeah, you know, I think, especially when they get around Crisis, it's
Which
very
is the next issue is a Crisis
yeah, and I
crossover.
think like some of them really are important to it, and some are not. And it's just we just had to put a Red Sky in, and we're gonna sit here and pout. Like Roy goes in and does things. It's like
Mm-hmm.
wow, but he's pitching them, you know. And I get it, man. They just felt like they, you know. And it's like, well, Marv pitched something, and it was a good pitch.
Yeah.
That's how you get those gigs. Is you go to them and say, hey, would you feel about this? Because this had never been done. And, you know, Kahn and Levitz were like, yeah, let's do it. So I think DC Comics Presents overall is very good.
Oh yeah.
There are some painful ones, like the
There
next,
are.
some unassisted Don Heck. I'm gonna say that they do not give him good inkers. Imagine him with, you know, Tom Palmer.
It would be fine. It
Well,
at
they
least be
probably work
fine.
together on cop comics or horror comics. Because that's if you ever see Heck's artwork from the 50s, it's like, oh, is he either
Yeah.
inking himself or he had a better inker?
Yep.
Like one of his his studio mates did the inking. We just don't know who it is because they weren't keeping track. But this one is very spot on. Yeah, like you said, it's been reprinted a bunch for good reason.
Yeah.
Because you could
And,
read this, and I think you could hand this to somebody, and you do not need to educate them on anything.
nope. Because
And,
you,
yeah,
you don't need to. And again, this is like Swamp Thing. I'd say is probably number 3 for me at DC, and like stories like this are a reason why.
yeah. I mean, this is what made him a much bigger character than just the horror comic character.
Oh yeah.
And I'd not. So I've read Moore's through whoever was right after Moore.
Vietch.
Beach. So I've read that.
Yep.
Swamp Thing. That's a good chunk. It's a 50, 60 issues. So
Yeah.
yeah. But I hadn't read other horror comics. I mean, one, you know, loose one sitting around at, you know, my brother's old house. I'd read it because, oh, look, pretty art. This is pretty cute. These are kind of kitschy. These are kind of, ooh, that was actually inappropriately violent. Okay. You know, but I never really, and now folks, the Tomb of Dracula new printing of Omnibus 1 came out and I got it and I'm almost done. I read maybe 20 Tomb of Dracula comics before I read these. Maybe. Definitely look through the giant size ones because my brother Hugh always got the giant size for everything. But it's hard to write the monster as the main character. It's incredibly difficult. And very rarely does it work for me. It's like don't make me, you know. My thing is, if you're gonna give me a monster that's unredeemable because he has no control, is it really interesting? Make it about the people every month he's killing. But the Dracula, it works because you're not only with him, you're with different heroes and different victims. There's a lot of the victims get short history. You get a short history of who's about to kill this episode. So you feel it. I think it's the strong suit of Wolfman, and it is, you know, finding a way to make it interesting. So Dracula may be fucking with somebody or near somebody, but he doesn't drink the blood right away sometimes because he needs him to do something else. And he's lost a battle and then he wins a battle. And it really works. Really, really works. And that's a hard thing to do. And this comic does it in one issue. It just goes, you buy that this is a compassionate creature who was once human. You get that much, and
Yep.
all he wants to do is save Superman, and
Yep.
Superman's going to burn the planet. And but it's that perfect thing. It could sit in both those worlds, the superhero book and the horror book.
uh, just 100% because it's like Swamp Thing's not like a vampire or a wolf man. It's like he has his faculties. He at this point he's starting to get a different perspective of trying to save the Earth. That's not really an issue or a complication in this issue, but he looks amazing. Like you said, it's like this is how you use a team up book to showcase a character who's in the middle of a huge revitalization.
Yeah,
Um,
it's good. And they probably were 2 or 3 issues in, and then they said, Alan, I'd like you to do. How quickly can you and Rick do a Superman something team up? And they were probably went for what? I mean, DC Comics fans, oh, straight up Superman story. Yeah, let's fuck it, we'll do it.
yep.
Probably they jumped at the chance and probably asked, because I don't think Al Williamson ever inked hit a Swamp Thing issue.
I don't think outside of this,
And I
no.
think the reason they pick Al Williamson is because he had done adventure strips, like newspaper strips, and he had done Star Wars. He was probably doing the Star Wars one at this point. Um, and he did, and I think he did a lot of Silver Age comics at some point. But I just know him from around this era for all the science fiction stuff. He inked some Gil Kane shit too. Gil Kane did a couple
That
sci-fi
makes
strips, and then he inked them.
that makes total sense.
And they look good. Because Al Williamson tidies it up. And there's a very deft hand in the inking in this of Al Williamson. I'm a traditional inker for a traditional action book. So I'm going to add that layer to this. So it allows the reader to see it. I'm going to help them and see it in both worlds, because both worlds are also, inked in a different, it's just, I think a little bit of the inking of Al's inking helps with the difference.
Yep.
Because
It makes the Venn diagram.
yeah, it really hooks it all together. I just love it. I mean, it's a really good one. I'm glad you gave me like, how
I,
many? You gave me like six.
I gave you 5. So it was the 2 Swamp Thing team ups. I think there was an Etrigan team up with whereas Ween and Joe Kubert. I gave you a House of Mystery one, which I remember not being super great, but I'm like, okay, it's October, it's the Halloween, and then a Dead Man one. So I wanted to have us do something
Yeah,
Halloween
the Dead Man
related.
one I thumbed through for about
It,
45 minutes because it's Garcia Lopez.
yeah, it's gorgeous.
It's like, oh, this is what our Ross Andrew art should look like if you tried a little harder. I'm not a
Oh,
big
you're
Ross.
not wrong, but
I'm not a big fan of Ross Andrew.
I'm much more tolerant of Ross Andrew than you are, I think.
No, I just don't think. I think his Spider-Man looks weird. He did some Spider-Man where he's always making these weird poses like he's a fucking demon dancing. It's kind of creepy. Um, so overall, Kirby, I'd give this a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. I mean, it's just a great comic book.
This to me is a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
It's one of the best of the DC Comics presents easily. Again, I think as I've said already, I think already 2, 3 times. There's a reason it's been reprinted so many times. It
Yeah.
should be. This is how like you can have 2 heroes work together without there actually being a real thread. And I think that's something that gets kind of lost a lot of the
Yeah.
time. And is it purple prosy? Yes, but it's Alan Moore purple prosy before he just went totally off the rails.
Yeah, that's a few years down the road, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like I would say probably somewhere after the first 2 volumes of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen where he becomes unreadable.
Yeah, I mean, I knew my brother Hugh, who's he knows a lot of it, he knows the pulp culture back to the beginning of the 20th century. And he's like, God, this is just too obscure. I don't even think there are people in England know the fuck he's talking about.
Yeah, it's one of those you have the audience is solely Alan Moore and that's it. And it's like, yeah, you shouldn't do that for a comic. Sometimes just write a blog post if you want to show how smart you are.
Yeah, yeah.
That
Roy
would, I
does
think,
it.
require Alan
Roy
Moore to write
does
the
it a
blog
little
post.
sometimes too.
Oh
I'm going to give
God.
you a history lesson on 50s Pulp Magazine and Iron Monroe and the Nietzsche's Uberman. Okay, whatever.
I'm about to read Young All Star, so I'm just preparing myself for stuff like that.
You for shits and giggles, or you doing
Yeah,
it for?
just for Okay, I just was able to put a complete collection of Young All Stars together pretty quickly for dirt cheap. So,
I don't hate it. I
yep.
don't hate it. I think it's I would equate it with Roy's later West when he did West Coast, which I enjoyed.
Okay. I
But
still have not to yet to read that. I need them to re-release Epic 3 so I can read it in order because I'm
I
trying to
got you.
do that.
Yeah,
But
I don't blame you. Because it's a good run. It's a good run. It's worth reading. It's entertaining. He uses some of the same effects, or he has a Japanese wave character in both. So,
okay.
but it is what it is. All right, Kirby, do you have any recommendations before we go?
Okay, so folks, I'm finally finished moving, so I'll be back on here on a regular schedule, sort of.
Yeah.
So just in the midst of all that, I've rewatched one of my absolute, not just favorite horror movies, I think at this point, one of my favorite movies, Trick or Treat. It's a 2007 Michael Dougherty anthology film, and if you just need a movie to get you into the Halloween spirit, watch this movie. It is a perfect blend of horror and humor. All again, as you're dealing with Sam, who's one of the best horror icons to ever be put to film. You are just gonna. It's there are a bunch of that guy actors. You get werewolves, you get zombies, you get ghosts, you get serial killers, you get everything you kind of want, but without the horror ever being overwhelming. Just again, watch 2007's Trick or Treat.
All right, I'll have to share that to Leslie. We've been watching the Conjuring universe movies.
I enjoy them. I enjoy the heck
You
out of
know,
them.
when we're at none, but I slept through parts of it. I've been pretty this foot crap has been draining me. So like last couple of weekends ago, I just kind of slept for 2 days. Um, my recommendation is going to be the Tomb of Dracula. I think it's some of the best 70s Marvel I've ever read. And it's in that sweet spot of 60s and 70s Marvel. It's very unique. I may read the Werewolf by Night series. It ran 45 issues and it's Mike Plug. It's like,
Ooh,
why? Maybe these are all good. And Marv wrote both of them. And I
okay.
think Marv's better stuff is this and his Night Force and being with Gene Colan. Because also Gene Colan and Tom Palmer are just fucking knocking it out of the park. It's just, they were put on this planet to do that. You know, I think Gene was definitely put on the earth to do that. And Nathaniel Dusk is hard when they were doing 80s, in the 80s and early 90s, and they're producing a lot more mystery books or like hard boiled. I'm a big fan of Ms. Tree by Max Allan Collins and John Beatty.
Yeah.
It's if they ever reprint those, I got to get them because I read it religiously. I'm a big Max Allan Collins fan. Um, I don't mind his Batman. It was very similar to Mike Barr's. I think they were writing it at the same time or something. But yeah, but the Tomb of Dracula, and it's the first like 30 some issues, the four giant size, and
I think there's a crossover issue in
there's one
there.
crossover. There's a Werewolf by Night crossover issue, which is Plug's version of Drac is so good. They're different. You know, everybody Cohen doesn't ever kind of sit down unless he's standing still next to somebody. You still can't see his body size because the way he has the cape, like he wraps the cape around people, and when he's half transformed from human to bat, um, it's just Cole. It's just beautiful, Colin, and just Tom Howe and Inker. Just he's 1/3 of the formula.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because
Because
I mean, there's some other anchors and they're okay. There's a Vinny Coletta one, which is
not terrible of any Coletta.
no, it wasn't because I think him and Gene were friends.
Okay.
Also, there's just so much he can't. What do I erase?
Yeah.
Because he's not putting any fucking detail in Dracula
No.
because he doesn't want you to see the detail. He wants to see you see the cape and you see some smoke and he's very fluid. That's how he gets the fuck out of there and none get caught because they don't make changing a burden.
No.
It's like, shh, I'm going to be a bat and I'm leaving, you
Hmm.
know? Um, but it's well worth it. It's so good. It's so good. I hope they do volumes 2 and 3.
I do too, because like I've said many times, I'm not a big Marv Wolfman guy, but this, I've just started his run and it's already pretty good. And I think the first couple issues where it was what? Jerry Conway, Archie Goodwin, and then Gardner Fox. All three of them do a like good Dracula story, and
Oh yeah.
yeah.
But then Marv comes in and goes, okay, you've given me characters. Now I just have to kind of put plots around them. Blade is very different. It's, it's very weird after Blade became Wesley Snipes. It definitely didn't look like this guy who would be a little more Richard Roundtree.
Oh yeah, but
But
I mean that makes total sense. Given when it came out, yeah.
yeah, it is. They were looking at blaxploitation things and giving him, wooden bullets, and
Uh, I'm
he's not as mysterious, and he doesn't have fangs. They haven't showed his fangs yet.
okay.
Or
I think that's his introduction's like the next issue I have to read. So
And
okay.
yeah, he's just he doesn't age. He's a little enhanced, and he doesn't die right away. He heals because his mother was bitten while he was in vitro.
Yep.
But I don't think he's not like a day walker. He is not a vampire. Um, I think that comes later.
Yep. And this is just the guy who's read the Dracula book a couple of times. The nerd in me, it's like, oh, Quincy Harker, yes, who was introduced at who was confirmed to have been born. So yeah, he would still be alive because it's 1970. So he would be in his like late 60s, early 70s. I appreciate that little detail to connect it to the book. Ross, you
But
still there?
yeah, yeah, no, no. What did you something about the book? I think
Oh,
you told me.
so Quincy Harper,
Oh,
who's in the book, um, in the epilogue of the original novel,
okay,
it's like our son Quincy Harker, da da da. So them bringing him into making him a character in the comic, I think is a nice little connection
yeah,
between the
I
two.
I I like that too. That it it was true more to the novel than the film.
Yeah.
And I do like, and Dracula has changed a lot in the Marvel universe. I think he's a pretty good bad guy. They have him, he's got a place to live, with his thing, and Blade became an Avenger, which I really, it took me a while to have it wrap around my head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That,
Oh yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
he's a good, I mean, Ted McKay I'm about to take Avengers off my list just because it's just too rough. I'll just read it on the app. It's all over the place. But Blade, he's a very different Blade, and I like this, and I'm a big fan of Night Force, the book they did. Him and Gene when he was doing Titans, he's also going to do a DC horror book like Tomb of Dracula, and I think Night Force is as good as Tomb of Dracula, what I've read so far. And the first two arcs of Night Force are it's a different type of horror. He's doing like 80 British science horror, like Quatermass kind of horror.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, okay. You just never, I don't know. I've never read the later ones. So
Well, is it? It's only like Night Force is only like what 10 issues, I think. Like
yeah,
it got canceled, which is a
yeah,
shame for everything you just
yeah,
said.
yeah, it is. And they did another, what, was it a mini series again?
I think there was probably,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is that in the? No, that's not in the hardcover I got.
I think the hardcover I have is only the first
Yeah,
10.
yeah. But they're worth it. I'm gonna, I might do an episode on the DC horror comics, just real when I get further into the DC comic present fine because I'm really digging them, and they're beautiful. I mean, they're just beautiful, and that's what's so good about Tomb of Dracula because Gene Colan is a genius in comic art. I love his Daredevil. I love his Batman. Really do. But this is the best shit he does, other than his Nathaniel Dusk, the hard-boiled detective. It's not, and it's just the best. And him and Palmer, oh my God. I'm a huge Tom Palmer fan. He makes everybody look better. So, all right, folks. Well, that's it for this week. We recorded this, and it's going to go up the day we recorded, maybe much later because I have some things to do, but I'll get it up. But me and Kirby will be back on Thursday because we're going to now jump on it. We're going to do another recording, and we're going to talk about the Starman issue where Jack goes to borrow a ride from the Justice League. So until then, everybody, please be safe, be smart, please be kind to one another, and read some comics. Read some horror comics.
Blah blah.
Well, hello, and welcome to Gallup. Jesus Christ.